2023 CFL Winter Meetings one-on-one with Ticats President of Football Operations and Head Coach. Does that sound right?
Just a person.
Just a person. All right. Just a person with the Ticats, Orlondo Steinauer. Yeah. Man, good to catch up with you. I feel like it's been a while seeing you in person. The question that everybody wants to know, might as well get it out of the way to begin with.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
You know what's coming.
Yeah.
How have conversations been going with Bo Levi Mitchell?
Yeah, I think the most honest answer is ongoing. And we're still working to get a deal done, and so that's what I would say about it. I think to give you a little bit more backdrop, it wouldn't be the right thing to do to speak on exactly how things are going or how they've went or how optimistic or unoptimistic or those things. That'd be a disservice to Bo and his representation, and also to ourselves. And happy to say that it's ongoing, and we're still looking to get something done.
You had him out to Hamilton, I think it was sometime in December. Mm-hmm. Can you go through what that was like to, quote, like get him on campus and show him around what the Tiger Cats have to offer?
I could go into great detail. I won't. I think it's important. Obviously it's going to be a bigger decision than just for Bo. I mean, he has an outstanding wife and two awesome kids, and I think it's important to, the football aspect is one thing, but to see where you're going to be, to have a look at the facility, to sit down and talk to people, to look people in the eye, to put the business side apart and bring the human element in is, I think it was extremely important. So I feel like that went well. And at the end of the day, it's information for him just as much as it is information for us. And we just thought that was an important step once we acquired his rights, that the business part of it is always going to be a big part of it, but also there's a human element to it that we felt like he needed to experience.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the media or fans think of pro athletes as these chess pieces. Mm-hmm. They don't have emotions. Yeah. But you know what it's like. You have family, you have kids, and you've been in that situation where you've had to change teams before. So did that come up in conversation with Bo, and how critical do you think that is to this decision he's making?
Yeah, you got a creative way of trying to get information. I think that all of that comes out in different ways throughout the visit. It all came out in different aspects, but it doesn't come out in like a sit-down interview format. It just comes out in just the feel and questions that maybe his wife Madison would have had, or things that he would have, and after a day with us. After having, to regurgitate it and those things in the evening, things come up. But, I think it's different for everybody. I don't think there's a cookie cutter model on the approach to it.
How was that decision made to go get Bo Levi Mitchell? Because it happened somewhat soon after the Ticats season was over, mm-hmm. at least. So what goes into that? I know you're not going to reveal a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but just the thought process there with varying other factors at the quarterback spot.
Well, I think every year you're faced with different situations and difficult decisions to make, and you kind of look at the landscape of what it was like, and we could have thought maybe he would be there in free agency or those things, but most people have their quote-unquote franchise guy, or the person that they are looking to lead their organization under contract. Those players aren't available. And when it looked like Calgary may be heading a different direction, it's something that, it's what I really love about the way we're assembled is, it's, ultimately the final decision would be mine, but there's a collaborative effort that went into it. And when we all sat down and, from ownership to our personnel department and coaches and everything, we thought this is something that was worth pursuing. The tough thing is that, we have a guy who's under contract that we believe in, and at the same time, we felt that there was a need to pursue this and see where it may end up. And I think, while it is a business, there's still human emotions and those things that go into it. So I would say that it didn't happen quickly, but it wasn't an extended thing. It was something we felt like we had to hop on right away.
Bo's gone on the record publicly as saying that he wants to go to free agency, or that's something that he might want to explore.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If he doesn't end up signing with the Tiger Cats, was it still, in your view, smart or prudent, or however you want to categorize it, to take a swing?
Yeah, I think so. If we hadn't went through that scenario, and realized that could be a possibility, it could have been a little reckless of us, but at the same time, that's what it's called free agency for a reason, and it's not just at this position; it's at a lot of positions. And so sometimes you're gonna make things happen, and sometimes you're not. And so no, there's going to be no. We've put our foot forward, and there will be no regret on anything.
The other quarterback you alluded to was Dane Evans. We saw him post some photos on Instagram of moving trucks outside of his Hamilton home. We know that he moved his family there. I believe his first child was born there, right, before one of the games. So how do you manage that situation? Because around the league, people are very highly talkative of you in terms of how you deal with the people. Like you said, sometimes it does come down to business, but you're so well respected in that regard. So what's that been like with Dane, and how did you think he took the move?
Yeah, I think he took it like any competitor. He was very professional. I think the one thing is just transparency. This isn't something that Dane was going to read going across the ticker or anything. This was a conversation that we had before, once we knew that there was going to be some real traction in acquiring Bo's rights. And that's all you can really do. You can't worry about if it's popular or not. All you can do is respect the person and not look at him as a player. And so we had those conversations before anybody else knew of this publicly. And that's all you can do. At the end of the day, he was very professional about it. And, he took it the way anybody would take information like that, just as information. I mean, I'm sure, I'm not going to sit here and divulge details about that. That's for Dane and myself. But, any competitor wants to compete.
Have you had calls since that move's been made, teams wanting to come and trade for Dane Evans?
Yeah, I wouldn't divulge any of that.
Had to try.
Here, this is no problem. That's your job to ask.
If this situation, I guess, regardless of how this situation plays out, do you have an idea of how you're going to manage that if you get Bo signed? What could happen with Dane if Bo does not sign? We have this planned out for Dane.
Yeah, I don't think, again, like I've used the term already in this conversation, I don't think there's a cookie cutter model. You're always trying to assemble the best football team that you can. So we'll cross that. We've definitely discussed different scenarios. To say that I know which one is going to play out, I'd definitely be lying to you. So we'll deal with that should that be the situation that arises.
The Ticats moved on from Brandon Banks, before the 2022 season, and that sort of paved the way for Tim White to have a breakout year. Looked very explosive, made some unbelievable catches, especially in that Calgary game. Was that the potential that you saw in him, in part, when you made that move to part ways with Banks?
Absolutely. We thought we had some great young receivers in the mix. You don't ever know how it's going to be panned out, but you'd like to make educated decisions, and Tim had shown enough growth that we thought that he would have a great opportunity if he remained healthy to have a season like he had. And so those are always tough decisions. I hate that they're on my watch, and that type of thing, but that's kind of what you sign up for. And, Brandon was an integral part of our organization for a long time and helped us build the sustainability and the achievement that we've had. And, in order to give somebody else the opportunity, sometimes you have to move on. And those are never fun decisions to make, but definitely thought that Tim had that potential, and he was able to stay healthy and capitalize on it.
Would there be a possibility there if Brandon Banks does decide to call it a career to come and sign a one-day contract with the Ticats?
Brandon's always going to be a welcome part of the Hamilton Tiger Cats in our community. I think that's been documented and well known, and I think that's where he cut his teeth and where it was. We understand what happened there at the end, but we have no ill will, and I definitely don't towards Brandon. He's always welcome. I think we have a great relationship. I enjoyed speaking to Speedy before preseason games and even during the regular season. No ill will wished at all. So Brandon's always welcome in our organization.
Were you happy in any way to see him get a ring?
That's an interesting question. Because Toronto and, no, we want to represent the Eastern Division. But I think every player in general plays for a championship. At least you would hope that the majority do. So the fact that Brandon has a ring, I'm happy for him. At our expense, not as much, but I do understand your question.
It seems like you're very comfortable in this role now as head coach and the top player personnel decision maker, we'll call it. You can categorize it differently if you like. But do you feel that way, and how have you gotten comfortable?
I think I've gotten comfortable because of the people I've been able to surround myself with, to be honest with you. With Drew Alme, Spencer Zimmerman, Ed Hervey, people that have lived their whole career on that side of the desk, if you will, allows me to, maybe I have the final decision, but it's a collective. And that's kind of where my ease comes into, is that these guys have a lot of experience being, like I said, on that side of the desk of it, where I have more experience being a coach. And it just so happens that, I'll take the ownership for the final decision, but there's so much that goes into that final decision that I'm always extremely comfortable because who I'm able to surround myself with.
Because you have that final decision, has that changed your relationship with the players as the head coach or as a coach, or have you separated the two?
You'd have to ask the players. I'm definitely on a quote unquote different team right up until training camp, and then I'm the head coach, and I think that's where it's different. And so, how players feel, I'd hate to just lump everybody in and say absolutely no or absolutely yes. But when it comes to me being their coach, I would venture to say that not much has changed at all, except for obviously I'm growing and becoming better at certain areas as a coach. And then the other thing is taking on a life of its own and growing at its own pace.
At the end of the season, we didn't see Dylan Wayne. Do you have an update on his status?
Yeah, Dylan is going to be, I think he'll be hard-pressed to be ready for the start of training camp. And I know that if he ever watches this, he's going to be the first person to prove me wrong, that he's going to be ready a month before. We won't rush that. There are certain types of injuries that require a certain amount of healing, and it has nothing to do with the player's work ethic. But I can tell you this, that whatever's in Dylan's control, he's going to control. And so, that because with the season moved up and things like that, it'd be a tough time frame for him. But with that being said, I know that he'll be ready.
I think it was lower body, his ACL. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna divulge everything. It was a lower body. It was a knee injury, and it's gonna be a long road. But I have no reservation at all that Dylan Wynn will be an effective football player for us in 2023.
And what's this like now for you and the team in another Grey Cup year where you're hosting? And I'll put it this way.
Yep.
Worked for a while at CHCH, the television station there in Hamilton. And a lot of people that work there that weren't in sports just assume that the Tiger Cats are in the game.
All right.
That's what they assume.
Yeah.
Not knowing the nuances of it. So do you feel like 2021 helps you? Is there added pressure? How does Orlondo Steinauer view 2023 and hosting the Grey Cup?
I think it's important. Do we want to be in the game? Are we aspiring to be in the game? Yeah, but we're aspiring to be in the game in Saskatchewan. As far as added pressure, the answer is no. And my why is because we're dealing with being better today. And putting that on the plate and having that be part of our process currently would take away from our current process and getting better. And, the blocks right now are gearing up for free agency or communication week, then free agency. And then there's a little lull there. And then obviously we'll be gearing up for the draft and the combine and those type of things. And then we'll deal with, before we know it, training camp will be here and we'll be focused on that. So, we're going to make it known and we'll address it in training camp of where the game is and that questions are going to be lingering. And with every game you win, there's going to be thoughts of, oh, this might happen and you'll be in the game again. And every time you have a possible setback, it's like, oh, do you feel anything, any more pressure? And we're always going to be dealing with the week and the task at hand.
That sound probably means our time is up, man.
Yeah, I had somebody call in right at that point.
Yeah, you got to go. You're busy,
enough.
Right?
Yeah.
Thanks for catching up with us in the mountains.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.